Alrighty. Howdy neighbors and welcome back to Who is the Red Queen? Last time we found out the Red Queen was dismembered, and we found 2 out of the 4 limbs. And also I've been really cornering the market on dating the Hatter. Don't know where that plays in, but here we go. I was curious. After all, not every Hatter keeps the Red Queen's dismembered body at their table, much less treats it like you do. The White Rabbit is searching for the Red Queen right now, you know. And the Red Queen is right here. At least part of her was. No one likes the White Rabbit. Why didn't you tell her, Alice? Well, I didn't feel like it. The White Rabbit was boring. I had the feeling that telling her anything about the corpse sitting with us wouldn't help me much. You saved me from the dungeon. In that dark, dank place, that's not enough for the cold. Dungeons here aren't for keeping but for killing. I see. Let's commit the same majesty together. Sure, the Red Queen will forgive us for piecing her together. Much preferred this Mad Hatter. No, Alice. This is much closer to blasphemy. We have no choice but to beg the wrathful God for forgiveness, don't you know? I couldn't help but to think of Osiris, the judge of the dead, cut to pieces by his own brother. Even a god king, rather a god queen, could be chopped up and rendered helpless. The tutors would be proud of me for remembering. Haha, is that so? It'll be good working with you, Hatter. I offered a handshake. Seeing her hesitation, I accepted her to reject my outstretched hand, but she instead grabbed my finger with an expression filled with uncertainty. I thought that she would try to pull my finger off. However, she only gripped me weakly and shook it up and down before letting go once more. She was a bit gloomier from the time after. Night fell and another day ended. What did I dream of? I must have forgotten. Only 2 more limbs and a head remained. I continued my adventure to collect the Red Queen, so that I could finally meet her and find a way back home. Step, step, step. Hello. What the fuck? I walked around this upside-down world. Hello, it's daytime. You are very bright. Between my explorations in Wonderland, I chatted with the Hatter, and she made a certain inquiry. What do you want to go back to at home? Dots. What indeed? Alice. What was waiting for you at home? I counted off my fingers. 2 sisters, 2 cats, a large empty house, books, and tutors. Go back for the cats at least. Like, everything else, whatever. But the cats. With my sisters, Lori and Edie, I was not particularly close. My older, Lorena, and the younger, Edith. Intelligent Lorena, and precocious Edith. They seemed to live in their own world apart from Alice. I preferred the cats, yes! The white cat and the black cat. The former was cute, a little beauty, like the White Queen, and the latter, a little devil. As for the books, our library seemed endless. We had so many books that I could drown. Maybe a pile had collapsed on me and I was dying, suffocating under the pages so terribly that I fell into Wonderland. The tutors would be so mad that the books were ruined. I winced at a phantom singing in the back of my legs. The poor ruler. I could already see it go red. That was my world. A boring, normal, plain world where animals didn't talk and corpses didn't move. Where I hadn't needed to think of much at all. I was Alice, and that place was Alice's place. Many dots. I fiddled with my fingers, grasping for the correct expression to wear. A smile. A smile was always safe. I'll be off then. Step, step, step. I traversed about this place, which was not Alice's place. My place. Once again, I was in the forest in the daytime. I was walking around searching for clues for where the next limbs or even head could be when I heard the sound of a conversation. I followed the noise and found the oddest pair, a rabbit and a cat. The rabbit seemed upset. On the contrary, the cat was grinning deviously. Ask the Hatter. I forgot what voice I gave the Cheshire Cat. No! The rabbit made an indignant smile. Hatter, that mad Hatter, feels more cuckoo than the bird, a real nuisance. The only silver lining is how now that rat and hare are out of the way, she's become more of a recluse. My ears are still ringing from the time we had to pull peasants off the street to sing for royal guests. She sneered. The courts have stopped working. The kingdom's falling into anarchy. We've got filth on the ground left and right. Up and down, too. The rabbit became angry. Shut up, you damn cat. You fucking criminal pretending to be a cat. If we weren't so busy, I'd send the cards to chain you up and throw you back into the dungeons where you belong. The cat grinned as she taunted the rabbit. Me-hee-hee-hee. Scary thoughts from a rabbit. Listen up. Your name is still on top of the list for execution, cat. Don't think you can do whatever you want. Now I've got to... Alice! The white rabbit made a pucking sound. The blood drained from her face as she met my eyes. She looked terrified. The Cheshire jeered. Hello. Did I interrupt the conversation? No, not at all. Hello, Alice. I hope we weren't too loud. The cat and I were making some small talk. How have you been? Well enough, and you? Well enough as well. Well, what about me? Well, it depends on the cat. The cat's punchline was silence. Are you two friends? The rabbit frowned. No. The cat grinned. Yes. Our circles rarely overlap. We only happened to meet and talk today by coincidence. The cat made a mock frown. I'm hurt, Bunny. I thought we were friends. Cheshire Cat, please refrain from giving me unsolicited nicknames. Cat smiled. Bunny? You two seem to get along. No, not really. They didn't seem to get along at all. I just liked how the white rabbit thought that she could lie straight to my face about what they were talking about before. Yeah, she kind of fucked up, didn't she? Lie. That was what the Queen's courtiers ought to do. Hilarious. After a short three-way chat, the white rabbit pulled me to the side for a private conversation. I have an invitation for you, Alice. The white rabbit reached into her coat. Retrieving the envelope in her inner pocket, she held it out to me. The Duchess has invited you to our endless party. If you're interested in attending, it is and always will be held in her manor. He took the outstretched invitation. When is it? She gave a smile. On and on and on indefinitely. Ever since Her Majesty had gone missing, the Duchess has been hauled up in her manor, holding a grand ball day and night. If I didn't know better, I would think she was celebrating. The rabbit frowned as she looked into the distance. But she wouldn't be so foolish. I see. Thank you for the invitation. Tracing the oddly familiar wax seal upon the envelope, I fiddled with the invitation in my hand. I wondered where I had seen it before. The rabbit smiled. I live to serve, Alice. What a relief. A burden has been lifted off my shoulders, now that this invitation is delivered. If it pleases you to attend, I hope you have an enjoyable time. The Duchess certainly knows how to throw parties, and the nobility of Wonderland how to party. I took the invitation away. The rabbit smiled, a distant look in her eyes. Many dots. Is there nothing else? Her attention returned to me. No, that is all. I won't bother you any further. Please excuse me, Alice, and have a nice day. Bobbing her head a few times, she made her way away as soon as out of sight. And off she goes, and hello to you. The cat's eyes narrowed with a grin. We were talking about something, too. That white rabbit. She only cares about the Mad Queen. Her grin became mischievous. We got a little secret about the Red Queen. Just a bit of gossip. Do you want to hear? Certainly. Hell yeah, I don't even need to do that. You'd be such an ass and no one knows. Stop. No. Eat. I was in a bit of a stump trying to find the rest of the Red Queen. First two pieces came along quite easily. It was delivered on a silver platter. But now I had to find some more clues. I waited for the cat to speak again, glancing at her flickering tail. She gestured for me to come closer. Then moved in, she flicked me sharply in the forehead, causing me to recoil in surprise and stumble back. I never said I would say. Me. Try finding me later, Alice. Ew! Oh, that's bad! Oh, no. Now that we finally see the photo, I hate it. Before I could respond to her provocation, she disappeared into thin air, leaving a grin floating before me for a short moment more. That is, if you can. With a flicker, the grin too vanished. Many dots. What did the rabbit call her again, Alice? I ran my fingers through my bangs and sighed. Looking around, I was alone on my search again. I returned to the path. I feel like I'm taking the anarchy route. I couldn't leave the cat's matter alone. Thinking of her taunting flick. I had no idea where she could be, for she always appeared and disappeared as she pleases. I returned to the endless tea party. I had a quick chat with the Hatter to find out. Is it gradually becoming darker? Or am I just being a fool? I acquainted with the Cheshire Cat. The Hatter's eyes narrowed. Cheshire? The Hatter moved Dormouse, as if she were upset. He's scary. The Hatter moved the March Hare, as if he was exasperated. Oh, he stays in the trees. The Hatter smiled as she spoke. He's usually around the northern end of the forest. That cat always says she has business, so she can't stay for tea. Even though I never invited her. The Hatter grinned. Yes, we're acquaintances, but definitely not friends. If you're looking for the cat, don't bring her back here. We're low on seats as is. And then she sneered. Next thing you know, you'll have to be chopped up to fill the teapot. Ta-da! The trio of one gave me a jaunty wave. Taking the Hatter's words, I started off to explore the forest north. I walked down many twists and turns, stumbling across uneven ground. Fucking look up. The path was rougher and the foliage thicker. I found no other living being in sight. No cats nor others. After a while, I reached a place with two signs pointing in opposite directions. One said cliff, the other said not a cliff. I thought I'd chuckle, as they were straightforward enough signs, but I can't see where they led past the bushes blocking behind the arrows. It's about to be a fucking disaster. Ding-ling! The ring of a small bell entered my ears, followed by the clatter of metal shackles. Cheshire Cat. I received no response. Accompanying me, there was only a breeze that would sometimes hit the leaves of the trees around me. I heard a soft rustling noise. When I looked toward the sound, I saw nothing. Tilted my head up further and... The world shifted. The air was pushed out of my lungs. A black and orange blur crashed down on me with great momentum from the sky, slamming me into the ground. When my head had hit a different way, my skull would have been a cracked egg on the ground. I moved just in time to harshly bang my shoulder instead. I thought I'd get it done in one shot. Huh? The blur of the Cheshire Cat filled my spinning field of view. She got both hands around my neck, digging with her sharp nails. What the fuck? The left arm flickered in and out of existence, so it wasn't really there, creating an unbalanced pressure about my throat. Her grip tightened, drawing blood. I couldn't breathe, squeezing me tighter. I tried to pry her fingers off with my own. My twitching hands clawed at her, constricting grip, even scratching my own neck. More than the pain of the flesh wound, I was getting lightheaded from lack of air. It barely forced her off my neck. I wheezed, helping to catch my breath. She grabbed my collar. She grabbed my collar. Grip on the left, flickering in and out, and slammed me into the ground after lifting me up a little. What? I didn't even ask why she was doing this, as vertigo overwhelmed me. She came flailing randomly. I managed to push her off for a moment. I had to reorient myself, get on my feet, and just roll away from her somehow. Which way? I'm not equipped for this. Go to cliff. Jumping through the bushes in the direction of this cliff. Signs around me had nonsense written on them, many times more than not. As I expected, my chosen direction had not a cliff in sight. Shakily got to my feet and watched as the cat did so as well. She immediately lunged at me again. This time I was more prepared. Aiming her in the stomach as she approached, left her right shoulder and twisting while hooking my foot on hers. Closing her arm down, I heard a slight cracking sound as she approached the one with the thumb. In case I kicked her away a bit. Her body was light like a cat. I'm waiting for an explanation. She started to fade away, but I stepped on her before she could get away. After a quick struggle, she relented and got up to her feet without any further fading. The cat snarled, dusting off her body. The Cheshire Cat frowned. I hadn't realized who you were before. My cloak may have a hood, but you've seen my face many times already, Cheshire Cat. She scowled. Wonderland's twisted up this time. She jeered. Guess what, logic doesn't work here. It's mad, all mad. You might be Alice, but who is Alice? Now that's the question we have to ask. Her lips curled in a mocking smile. To start with, you don't know anything. Do you even know who you are, Alice? I'm Alice, that's all. That was my sole truth. She returned to her frown, deep in thought. But who in the world is Alice? An outsider? A temporary visitor? I've just about figured out the most important part. If you figured it out, I don't suppose you'd tell me. You are... She gave some pain. Pressed her hand against her head. Then she took on a jeer. Hoo-ha-hee-hee. No tea. Somehow, you're much too similar to the Mad Queen. Oh, not the Mad Queen. I've been looking for her. But let me tell you this. She's been dead for a while now. And I think you already knew that. She scowled. I can't put it into words. I can't put it into words for some reason. Maybe it's just the way you look at the world. Or you're definitely the same type of person. In which way? Are you just trusting some gut feeling, some delusion, that I might be the same as someone whom I've never met? Or, as you say, someone who is long dead? She stared at me with determination. This world can't afford another Red Queen. Not even the chance of one. She vanished, taking the chance in our conversation. Criminals needed to be locked up. I looked all around, hearing the faintest sound of her shackles telling me she was nearby, but I could not see her actual presence. She Why don't you do me a favor, Alice? Just go ahead and die. Her voice danced through the air formlessly. You have no qualification to enact your form of justice, Cat. That really is just like her to say. They appeared behind me and attacked again. I fell to the ground and tussled once more. She clawed at me a few times, but I gradually gained the advantage. The cat favored her right arm. Rather, her left arm acted transcendent, coming out of existence, forcing her to avoid relying on it. Her handicap forced her to falter, more than my now numb shoulder did me. She felt like an animal. To be fair, she was an animal, biting, clawing in all the legs. She came at me with the intent to kill him. We continued till we were both bloodied and bruised. I punched her straight in the face, causing her to bite her tongue and choke up a mouthful of red. Her head bounced to the ground, throwing her next moves into disarray. I hit the cat again, and again. Doing this with our bare hands wasn't exhilarating as much as it was just matter of fact. I decided that I preferred this nuisance out of my hair. I noticed her right arm was stitched on. The arm felt familiar, as if it didn't belong to the Cheshire Cat. Alice, that cat was also a thief. You wanted that arm. Oh no. Oh no, no. I don't like it. Ask for it. That arm doesn't belong to you. Give it back, Cheshire Cat. Why should I? Ask politely because I prefer to let you part with it on your own terms. If I must, I will take more drastic measures. The cat squirmed under me, but I forced her down, sitting atop her body. I have no intention on staying in Wonderland. My current adventures through this world are entirely to find a way back to my own world. As such, Cheshire, if you would hand over that arm, then we shall have no further interactions. I will endeavor not to meet you again, unless it has to do with my way home. Dots. I can't fight anymore. My tension left her muscles, signaling to me that she had given up. She let out a scornful bark, a laugh, as she... I can't even begin. A crusted? I don't even know. Fine, I'll give you the arm. So get off. I made a weak motion as if to push me off. No, give me the arm first. Fine. Bruised black and blue, bloody from a brawl, the Cheshire Cat twitched her stolen arm, looking at it hesitantly, as if unwilling to lose it. She shook her head. A faint cracking noise from her neck made her let out a whine of pain. She nudged her cape closer to her face and bit into it. Eee. Then, with a flickering left arm, her body twisted in an odd position under me. She tore the arm off her own body in a slow and bloody rip. I heard the oddest sounds of flesh being rent from flesh. Through the cape came muffled groans, tears glittering in her eyes. After what seemed like an eternity, the cat chucked the removed arm to the side, blood dripping out of the stump from which the limb was removed. The limb, too, made a crimson mess in the grass. Is that enough for you, Alice? Dots. I nodded. Now get off. I stood up from the cat. Feeling a wave of dizziness hit me along with a throbbing headache. She rolled over in pain and started pushing herself up, stumbling and falling a number of times onto the grass, with an ugly red splat. Finally, limping to her feet, the Cheshire Cat vanished. And now there was no more Cheshire Cat. Pick up the severed right arm. The limb appeared different now that it was detached from the cat. It more resembled its fellow limbs, signs of regal, torn sleeve. A broken shackle of its wrist fell off without me having to do a thing. Alice, Alice, do you recognize this arm? Yes, I answered. This is the Red Queen's arm. Thoughts of pain burst through my head. I did not know why I knew, but amidst my agony, I did not have the heart to care. I stumbled, clutching my head. The world warped and blurred around me. I felt dizzy, looking at the disoriented landscape, or perhaps my dizziness itself, distorted the landscape into an undiluting thing that made me want to vomit. As my adrenaline drained, the results for the fight began to show themselves. My whole body felt sore, a raging headache pounding in my skull would not subside. Black and red began to fill my vision. Oh, the ground shifted beneath my feet. Maybe. Falling. Alice was falling. My world turned to darkness, and all I heard was laughter. Thump. I slowly opened my blurry eyes to the sky. It was a starry night sky. A terrible headache battered my skull. I felt as if I'd forgotten something very important. So disoriented I was. I had no idea where I was. I patted around me and noticed that I still had a limb I just retrieved with me. My head hurt. I heard footsteps. I pushed myself to a sitting position and I saw her. Wait, what? No. The fuck? There we go. My wife? Looking around, I found that I was in the Hatter's place. Oh. I started to talk only for my throat to feel like sandpaper. Each time I blinked, my eyelids grew heavy again. A chill ran through my whole body. Uncomfortable. That was all I could say I felt. Although I had experienced quite a bit since coming to Wonderland, I had not thought I would catch a cold. Certainly that fight with the cat had battered me up. Don't speak, Alice. You're burning up, so no tea for you today. Isn't that the point? Hold on. That's not... That's not it. It must have still been tea time, for it is always tea time. However, today, the Hatter decided to put the tea aside, even at tea time, for the sick me. She brought a cup of water to my lips, tilting it for me to drink. I drank and choked. Coughing and sputtering, I felt her wipe away the water that had spilled. Ever drink too quickly, you'll drown. She handed me the cup directly, fingers just barely avoiding mine, but also grasping the cup firmly, till she knew I wouldn't drop it. Drink slowly, Alice. I've gotta get some off the stove. Saying that I had a cup in my hand, she hopped off in the direction of the stove. I went back to where we first met. At that time, the thing on the stove had been a hammer, so I hoped she would bring back something more pleasant. I sipped from the water cup and waited, setting it aside once I finished. They returned with a bowl of porridge in hand. No! Sitting down next to me, she scooped up a spoonful of porridge and blew it lightly to cool it down. As the porridge temperature settled, she put the spoon toward my mouth. I instinctively opened my mouth like a baby bird. I can eat myself. I'd rather you not cannibalize yourself. Fucking Hatter. She fed me porridge, spoonful by spoonful. Once the porridge had finished, she put the bowl away and gave me another cup of water. While letting me sip the water, she wiped away the sweat on my forehead. You're good at taking care of people. Really? I never quite had. My words drifted off into silence, and I thought back to what little I had to say about taking care of others and being taken care of. Many dots. Hatter. The limb. I'll put it away for you. You know me so well, Hatter, and I barely keep my eyes open. As well. Hatter placed a cool, trembling hand on my forehead. And then into the realm of hypnosis I fell. After a few days of good rest, under the Hatter's care, I recovered to full health. I hadn't been so sick in years. Thank you, Hatter. What for? Don't linger too long in a crowded place. Off you go. Don't you have some body parts to find, Alice? Ha ha. So I do. Seeing me once more healthy, she shooed me away. So, back on that forest path. The Red Queen was nearly assembled, missing only her head and fourth limb. Onward I continued with our search, so that she could send me home. I took out the invitation that the White Rabbit had delivered to me. Running my fingers against the paper of the envelope and the imprint of the wax seal, some sort of animal, I tore the invitation open. Inside I found a card and read it to myself. Alice, the Duchess requests the honor of your presence at her ball. Today, tomorrow, time eternal, Duchess Estate, the manor. You are required to bring a companion. Flip the card over, I noticed something, a crudely drawn map. I followed the lines of the map and somehow pinpointed where I was in relation to the manor. I held nothing to bring to the party, nor did I have a readily available guest. I pondered about whether I should go or not, seeing as that I could put it off indefinitely, but with the Red Queen's part still missing, perhaps someone there would know. The Duchess should have been close to the Queen, for example. That, at least, the tutors had mentioned. As the +1, my mind wandered to my few human acquaintances in Wonderland. Obviously. I'm taking my girl. Who else would I take? I turned to the Hatter, who was having her usual tea time, and invited her. Hatter, would you accompany me to the ball? She sneered. I rather won't. She glared at me with a disbelief smile. Alice, you have to request it that way. I'll trade you a favor. A favor for a favor. Come with me. If you come to the ball with me, I can do something for you. Take some pity. Alice has no friends. No friends, no pets, no siblings, no one, none. No favors. Have favors like butter. I would say I have at least one of the above. What sort of favor would you offer me, Alice? A limb? A tongue? A heart? Alice, I don't have anything I want that I can't get myself. She momentarily grinned ordinarily. A cup of for your sandwich, Alice. Here's the salt. I passed her the pepper as she slid the salt and a cup of tea over to me, fiddling with the salt container. She has a spoonful of humiliation atop my tongue. I have no friends. She says she has no friends. She really has no friends. The Hatter pouted. You have no friends? What am I? March's favorite old butter sticks? Her glare bored into me. Dots. Well, if you would. If you would. She says it. I would really rather not. Our Hatter doesn't matter around the nobles, who are just like the flatter. I'm no good with nobles, after all. I'm just a Hatter. For a second, her voice dipped. Her expression became somber. Hatter is better off here all alone. I barely heard the Hatter's low words. She sneered again. Also, it's still tea time. How can we go up to the ball when we've yet to finish afternoon tea? Many dots. She stirred her tea, watching as I slumped into my seat and played with the salt. Then the Hatter gave me a lonely look. But I rather appreciate you. My heart skipped a beat. Hell yeah, it did. Why? Alice, just why did you find the slight smile somewhat charming? Of course I'm gonna find it charming. My beloved in this game. Click. The sound of my teaspoon hitting against the rim of my cup took me out of my thoughts. I looked down. Putting a cup to my mouth, I took a sip and found that I put salt into my tea. Terrible. She smiled. I'll accompany you, Alice. When is the ball? Any time. The Hatter sneered. It's not very nice of you to say it's not tea time when then... Oh. It's not... Oh my god. It's not very nice of you to say it's not tea time here then. Not very good of you to be biased against tea time, don't you know? We finished off our tea and sandwiches. After a few more sips, I sneakily dumped the salted tea behind my armchair. The Hatter put the dormouse and March Hare away. After lingering at the tea table for a few moments longer, we got up to leave. She waved goodbye to the puppets, hesitant as if scared of leaving this place. Bring the puppets? You could bring them. Then we used the shoddy map on the back of the invitation to find our way to the Duchess's place. Disneyland? After a walk, we arrived at the manor. It resembled a large white castle, towering against the day sky with pointed roofing. The hatter shook her legs, as if just that bit of walking had tired her out. And again, the bags under her eyes conveyed that she hadn't slept well for a while. The guard stopped us at the entrance. "Halt, please show your invitation card." I handed the guard the card. He looked it over, glancing at me and the hatter before turning it to me. The guard gestured and led us inward a few steps through the entranceway. "To enter, guest must provide an arm. The arm will be returned to you whenever you wish to leave the party." An arm? A limb? The guard nodded. "Please provide an arm." Uncharacteristically, the hatter said nothing the entire time to the guard. She warily looked at his sheathed sword and shuffled behind me. "You may not enter without providing an arm." Oh? And now this is interesting. Because offering the Red Queen's arm could prove to be an issue. However, if I offer my own, that's also an issue. I should have saved. The guard was getting annoying, repetitive. "Please provide an arm." But this arm suffice. I extended my own arm to the guard, goading him to take it. If an arm was the entrance requirement, then an arm I would provide. The guard nodded, leading us to the side and having me keep the arm outstretched above the table. He retrieved a clean, shining blade. The blade glistened in the sun like the moon. Slash. The blade cut, my arm came straight off. It fell to the table with a small bounce. Sharp pain hit me the next moment. I stumbled back into the hatter, gritting my teeth as blood rushed out of the wound and dripped red. I could still sense my arm, phantom pain attached to the bone. I pushed at the wound. Although my still attached hand never touched the flesh itself, it soon became overcome with blood, as it shook near the stump. A doctor arrived short time with some sort of medicine that she applied to the wound. Ghostly chills covered the hurt till it turned to nothing but an aching. Once the bleeding ceased, she bandaged my injury, warning me not to remove the bandages before I reobtained my arm. Shaking her head about mad noble, she left. "Alice, could you reattach such a limb? You weren't a lizard, but a mere human." A little lightheaded, I shook off the question. "Alice?" The guard retrieved my arm, placing it into a sealed box before handing it off to another servant who took it away to a safe place. "You may enter, esteemed guests." The guard began to lead us in. "Alice, why are you like this?" "What are you talking about, Hatter?" We arrived at the Duchess's ballroom. The floor was wide open and remarkably polished. Golden chandeliers hung above, the light reflecting against the floor. A few chairs sat between the large, rounded windows. A painting sat on the farthest wall. Although the hostess was nowhere to be found, servants milled around the floor with refreshments for the guests. "Oh, this is not gonna end poorly. This is gonna end just fine. Didn't realize it was masquerade." A quartet performed in the front. Food sat at the tables on the sides of the room. All around were faceless people dressed up like clowns. Faceless people. They were uninteresting people. They sent a few glances our way as we came without much fanfare. Already, I didn't like them. Perhaps it was their beady, pig-like eyes. For all that they were faceless, I saw only clowns and swine. I approached the group, thinking to gain some information. "Hello." hello to you as well. The guest seemed wary upon seeing me, but shown a displeased reaction upon laying eyes on the Hatter, who had reluctantly followed me along. And the peasant. Which one was it? Ah, the one with the vermin. Where are your little raggedy friends? The rat and the hare. I will fucking kill you. The Rat Queen's little pet was happy to see them gone. The rabbit's always been like that. Rather than rutting, she likes the cutting. Ugh, an animal in such a position. I really do not approve. Her Majesty likes it. Well, she's gone now. You shouldn't say that. Speak of the devil and she will come. The devil indeed. It's a shame that the White Queen's already been a fool. A pretty bird, but as a ruler. The Red Queen liked her well enough, and certainly from the rumors, she's done something quite pleasant. For us, you mean. Don't jinx it. The sage group whispered amongst themselves as they pointed to the Hatter, like they were looking at a spectacle. The Hatter at this time was simply staring off into space. Is that lunatic glaring at us? This is the problem with the peasants. It's staring at us. My, how uncomfortable. I can't believe that thing rolls around with the animals. Tut tut. The animals are all gone. That's the least that Her Majesty has done for us in her pretty red region of pretty red rain. Now let's get away from the filth. Such a varmint is unbearable. I must ask the Duchess about who can be let into her ballroom. A servant passed by with a tray full of champagne. One of the guests removed 2 flutes from the tray and offered me one with a slew of words. Have some alcohol. Dots. Do you have some business with us? No. Shook my head and turned away. Drink should only be shared in pleasant company. Let's take our leave from these people, Hatter. Chitter chatter, chitter chatter. I noticed the other guests making side comments on the Hatter and giving her the side eye, while stepping back from me, of all people. Saying those things to my person. I need to learn how to stop doing that. Saying those things to my person. Someone who is mine, my Hatter. They deserved punishment, capital or otherwise. That was right, Alice. What a shame that I had no such power. The Hatter looked rather upset. He moved to the sides, where the food was, seeing as few people lingered for refreshments for long. 2 of us picked up some cakes and snacks. A smile finally came to her face while we ate, albeit a sad one. As I tasted it, I couldn't help but feel that the Hatter made better food. Tingly sensations spread through my body as I ate. Hatter. Ha ha. What is this? My voice changed pitches as I talked. At the moment I sounded squeaky as a mouse, and at the next low as an elephant. The Hatter grinned. Ha ha ha. Oh, me too. Playing with the odd refreshments, we found ourselves speaking like animals. Meow. Woof. Meow meow. Woof woof. Fools. I wonder what she said. She looked so pleased that she made the world's greatest joke that had just gone unheard. Next we tried the pudding. Discomfort filled my heart, as if something dirty was coming out from each pulse, with each squeeze of the ventricle pushing blood through the aorta. The Hatter looked a bit upset. She began to frown. I hate this. She frowned even deeper. I hate you. I don't know how I do with a bedlamment dog like you. The Hatter sneered. I really hate you. It's Red. It's Red's fault. I'll kill. They're dead, so I'm alone. The Hatter blocked her words and stuffed a cookie into her mouth. She looked rather flustered. Woof. What needs to be done has to be done. But once it's done, we should certainly purge. It's been such a long time. I've got to punish that little bird. And you. Your head will make a good decoration. There's not a worthy cell inside. You're a lunatic and a fool. Putting a hand over my mouth and clutching my jaw. I shut up as well, till the distortion in my heart disappeared. The Hatter frowned for a moment. I didn't mean to say any of that. The pudding must have twisted our words. The Hatter smiled. I will. Had it, Alice. As I experienced the strange food, the other guests continued to mingle and dance. This was the ball, so ball things they did. The music stopped along with the chatter. It was at this time that the Duchess made her appearance. She was a featureless woman who hid her face. Instinct told me that she was ugly, and I could not see anything. No disfigurement nor beauty. She existed as the Duchess, but could not be seen. She was only perceived. Tonight we have a special gift to be given to a single guest. She gestured. The servant behind her came up with an item hidden under a red cloth. A hushed whisper ran through the ballroom as everyone guessed at what was hidden underneath it. Underneath that would make the Duchess considered special. We are holding a chess tournament, the usual game that ends when the king has fallen. Even here, where the king is long gone. Of course, the winner will receive the prize. It's the waggy. The servant removed the cloth. All around, the guests let out a collective gasp. What, you may ask? Why, it can only be our dearest Majesty's leg. It was a severed leg, the Red Queen's left leg. From the looks of the limb, it would fit perfectly into the torso stump sitting at the Hatter's place. Like the previous leg, it too was dressed in a black tight and adorned with the red shoes that had a red ribbon. May the best strategist win. The Duchess clapped. The servants began to move out, setting up tables and chess sets in a matter of minutes. With a match-up list created, the tournament started. As I made my moves with the Hatter, I thought back to all the chess I had played with the tutors. They would be relieved that at least I hadn't forgotten anything and everything. Losing each time had been a painful ordeal, so I too was glad that I remembered. Hatter had a brilliant strategic mind. I watched as she flung her queen into the crowd of pawns, really afraid to be eaten alive. She had a twisted smile on her face as she did so. Most of the time. We made our way to the final, where we met with the last opponent not at a table, but in a cleared-out space in the ballroom, with a large chessboard overlaid. The Hatter was grinning. Our last opponent was the Duchess. Around her, lined up, stood 1 1/3 dozen soldiers dressed up in black like chess pieces. What is this? Why, human chess. Chess is the imitation of bloody war. In this land without war, we must take steps to make life more interesting. And this is our dearest Majesty. Oh, that is what our dearest Majesty proclaimed. One of you two have to take the role of peace, and otherwise I'll provide the other pieces for you to play with. I exchanged glances with the Hatter. Even now, I couldn't understand what went on in those eyes, but I had already decided. Maybe I didn't want to see her potentially get hurt, as no one here cared for the life of the Hatter. Odd, oddest, odder. What a thought to have. I rather liked her. I will take the role of the piece. Be the king. First, I did the king's piece of rule, as the king was at the end of the game. If I was given a fake white crown and a sword, I was not a soldier. Our white pieces shuffled in and took their positions on the board. Soon enough, the chessboard was set. A human-sized version of the strategy game unfolded. The Hatter started with the first move. The Hatter had a wide smile. Clang, clash. One by one, our white pieces on the board fell, almost like dominoes. Perhaps don't deploy the queen. No. Pieces on the board cannot speak. We are the players, and you are but a game piece. Pieces came dangerously close to me. The sound of metal filled my ears. Warm blood splattered over my face, and the overzealous knight beheaded our last bishop. Then guts spilled over my shoes, and the Hatter took out the knight who had cornered me. Never been much for strategy. The Hatter yawned and rubbed her eyes. All of our pieces had died, taken off the board, with but a smear to the ground, aside from the pawns, whereas the Duchess had taken far fewer losses. I had a feeling we were doomed. Alas, what can we do? No speaking. The game continued, and by mad luck, the Hatter made her way to the other side of the board. Promote it? Let the pawn turn into a queen. That's how it works, isn't it? Watch as the Hatter turned the game around with her remaining X-pawns. The Black King was surrounded. The Hatter sneered. Checkmate, Duchess. And then we cut him down. Duchess clapped her hands in congratulations. The servants cleared the floor, wiping it down. They made it once more sparkling clean, as if the red had not just been spilled in a human facsimile of a game. One came along with a wet towel for me to wipe away anything that had gotten on me during the match. Congratulations, you're a true pair of master strategists. With this, the competition has concluded, and you two are the winners. Would you like to take your prize now? The Hatter shaped her lips into an O. Yes. The Hatter bobbed her head up and down rapidly. It just gestured the servant over. Our dearest Majesty's leg. Do take care of it. Do take care of it well, lest she come back and has you punished for disrespecting the crown. She took the leg from the servant and handed it to me. I hope you enjoy the rest of the ball. Duchess left again, with her servant following after her. She seemed to have enjoyed the chess tournament. As quickly as she left, the chess setups were cleared away. The guests returned to eating, drinking, and dancing. Let's leave. Oh, let's leave! She made a lonely smile. She had no intention to stay, neither did I, having accomplished the unexpected boon of finding a piece of the Red Queen. We maneuvered through the manor, eventually finding ourselves in a long hallway. This is as real as the ballroom. A red carpet rolled out along its length. We found the servant to leave, and were redirected outward. He retrieved the sealed box with our entrance fee and handed it over. Hatter opened the box for me. Inside lay my arm and a small jar of the same medicine from before. My arm still looked fresh. I unraveled my bandages to find an unchanged wound. Popping the arm into the stump, I felt a strange knitting sensation at the connection back. I applied some medicine to the arm. With a squishing sound, my arm was reattached. The only remnant of the severance was the thin pink line that slowly faded into my skin. As we exited the building, we came to a garden. We had taken a wrong turn. It was an learn how to read. It was an elegant garden, with plenty of flowers and triangular hedges. In the center was a fountain. Looking around, we spotted an exit in the far end of the garden, and the Hatter made a move to leave. I felt out for her to stop, extending a hand. We didn't have a chance to dance. Would you give me the honor of one dance, Hatter? I won't. Maybe just one with you, Alice. She made an awkward smile. I can't dance. I'm dexterous with my hands, but not so much with my feet. Hatter doesn't fit in well with these sorts of things. Isn't that a problem? She hesitantly stretched out her hand, fingers hovering over mine. She looked somber. Don't worry. Let me lead. I took her hand and we danced. Humming in place of an instrumental quartet, I led her in steady steps, ignoring the way she stumbled over my feet. Left, right, left, right. Perhaps this was the most enjoyable dance I've ever had. I twirled the Hatter around. She's so light. Alice! She still had that lonely, awkward, somber expression on her face. Alice! Hatter? You may not be so bad after all. She made an expression like she wanted to cry. I really like you, Alice. Only Alice. I rather liked her too. I gave her another twirl, and she let go. I reached out my fingers, but she moved her hand away. The Hatter hopped back with a skip and spin. Thus she stood by her lonesome. Close your eyes, Alice. I did as she said. I felt her roughly stuff the leg into my arms. I heard a faint tapping noise resonate from the footsteps moving away from me, and then there was nothing. I waited and waited and waited. Alice, how long did you want to wait for her? I waited a long time. It seemed like in my hands. When I opened my eyes, the Hatter was nowhere to be seen. Did she leave me behind? As I walked around the garden, she was nowhere to be found. So I had to leave as well. And in the last pass of the garden, I made my way through the exit. I was back on the forest path. Suddenly vertigo struck me. I must have had a long day. I reasoned that I held a hand to my forehead while trying to steady myself. My brain spun like a sloshed up pit of mud. The discomfort in my heart returned. I leaned back against the tree, to take a break, looking upward. Eyelids flickering, I wondered if the sky had always looked so far away. The sun was beginning to set. Orange hues beginning to enter the picture. My free hand propped against the bark, slid downward unconsciously. No. I closed my eyes for a moment. Darkness. At some point, I made my way back to the Hatter's place. Hello, Hatter. I handed over the limb I had just obtained. At least, from what I could tell from the passage of time, it should have been only recently that I had taken this limb from the past owner. I didn't know. Hatter took the limb and threw it into the dog cage with all the others. She grinned. With this, you gathered all of Her Majesty's limbs. Oh, so I have. Ha ha ha. You look terrible right now, Alice. Again. Her eyes narrowed. Like us. Like us. I'm tired. The Hatter smiled. Take a nap. Daytime isn't going anywhere. Unless time grows back its severed head and walks away. Don't you think? We can always talk a little later. Thank you. I slumped back into my armchair, sinking into the oddly scented cushions. She sneered. Good night, Alice. This may be the last. And then she looked a little lonely. I almost feel a little sorry, but Dormouse, March, I won't stop. I didn't hear what the Hatter said afterward, over the raging white noise of my headache. My vision blurred, my eyes became watery. Eyelids heavy, I fell asleep. But then I was dreaming, falling into the dreams. Tick, tock, tick, tock. I dreamt of a throne. Dark and terrible throne, so horribly cold. It was such a lonely throne. But the eye on the throne was arrogant and happy to be alone. No. I thought even she had someone she loved. A beautiful person. Yes, that person she loved was a beautiful person. So fragile and beautiful, she wanted to slowly tear off that person's wings. But her love was wrong. If she wasn't happy, then she would lose everything. Alice, you were exactly this person. No, I wasn't, was I? When I opened my mouth to speak, blood began to leak through my lips. The only sound that came out was an empty gurgle. Were I happy? No. I could not talk. I could not taste. Even though red dripped down my chin, I felt as if my tongue had been snipped off. Blood choked me. Gasping with nothing but liquid, I grasped my throat. Alice! I was drowning in the stream. You were never happy, never! When I woke, I forgot all about what I had dreamt of. Okay, we are doing fantastic. And I'm going to go ahead and end this episode here. We're at chapter 3. I didn't even know there were chapters. Wow! So thank you very much for watching, and hopefully I'll see you later.